One man turns a dying car company into the biggest automaker on the planet. He sells over 10 million cars a year. Beats Toyota, beats Volkswagen. He's a legend. Then, in one night, he's arrested off his private jet, accused of stealing millions, fired, humiliated. A year later, he pulls off the craziest escape in business history, hides in a box, flies out under everyone's nose. This is Carlos Ghosn's escape, and how one night destroyed the world's largest car company. Stick around, because this story is more than just money. It was something way darker. Let's start from the beginning. 1999. Nissan is dying, not struggling, dying. $20 billion in debt, 7 straight years of losses. Factories sitting empty, days away from total bankruptcy. They need a miracle. Renault, a French automaker, steps in with $5 billion for about 37% ownership. It's a gamble. Most analysts think both companies are finished. Then they send this guy nobody's heard of, Carlos Ghosn, Brazilian Lebanese, French citizen, zero experience in Japan. He makes a promise that sounds insane. Turn Nissan profitable in 1 year, or I resign. People laugh. The Japanese media thinks he's delusional. A foreign executive coming to save a proud Japanese company? Good luck. But Ghosn doesn't care what they think. He closes 5 factories, cuts 21,000 jobs, slashes the supplier network from 1,145 companies to about 600. Absolutely ruthless. The Japanese press gives him a nickname, Le Cost Killer. But within 2 years, in 2001, Nissan posts its first profit in 8 years. Sales explode. The 350Z becomes a street legend. The GTR dominates racetracks. Nissan isn't just surviving anymore, it's thriving. By 2005, Ghosn is CEO of both Renault and Nissan simultaneously. First person in history to run 2 major car companies at once. The alliance is printing money, sharing platforms, sharing engines, saving billions on development costs. Then 2016 happens. Mitsubishi gets caught in an emissions scandal. Their stock crashes. They need rescue. Nissan swoops in, buys 34% for about $2 billion. Ghosn becomes chairman there too. Now it's the Renault-Nissan-Mitsubishi alliance. 2017. The peak, 10.6 million vehicles sold. Number 1 automotive group in the world, ahead of Volkswagen's 10.5 million, ahead of Toyota's 10.2 million. Ghosn is flying private jets everywhere, lavish parties, multiple homes, comic books about him in Japan. He saved 150,000 jobs. He is literally untouchable. But wait, underneath these were cracks nobody could see. The alliance wasn't equal, not even close. Renault owned 43% of Nissan with full voting rights. Nissan owned only 15% of Renault with zero voting power, and the French government owned 15% of Renault. So technically, the French government had indirect control over Nissan, one of Japan's proudest companies. Ghosn pushed for deeper integration, maybe even a full merger, irreversible ties between the companies. Why? Synergies, cost savings, dominating the electric vehicle race. The Nissan Leaf was already the world's best-selling EV, with over 300,000 sold since 2010. But inside Nissan headquarters, it's all panic. A merger meant French control. The French government calling shots at a Japanese icon. Jobs moving to France. Japanese culture getting erased. Senior Nissan executives started plotting. How do we stop this? They needed Ghosn gone permanently. November 19, 2018. Ghosn's private jet lands in Tokyo. Prosecutors board immediately. Arrest him on the tarmac. The charges? Underreporting his compensation by about 9 billion yen, roughly $85 million over 8 years. Misusing company funds for personal expenses. Nissan's CEO at the time, Hiroto Saikawa, calls a press conference, says they found everything in an internal investigation. Meanwhile, Ghosn calls it a coup, names executives, says they backstabbed him to kill the merger and protect their power. And wait, this is where the story gets really interesting. 9 months later, September 2019, Hiroto Saikawa, the guy who accused Ghosn, is forced to resign. He's caught in the exact same scandal. Excess compensation through stock bonuses, about $440,000 he wasn't entitled to. He admitted it, said he would return the money, claimed he didn't know, gone within days. Then Greg Kelly, Ghosn's right-hand man, arrested alongside him, goes to trial in Japan. 2022, the court acquits him on almost everything. Insufficient evidence of criminal intent, gets a suspended sentence on one minor count. Nissan itself got fined 200 million yen, not Ghosn, the company. So the successor who accused Ghosn got caught doing the same thing. The aide got mostly acquitted, but Ghosn is still sitting in detention. 130 days in a tiny cell, no windows, freezing cold, interrogated for 8 hours straight without a lawyer present. Did you know Japan's conviction rate is 99.9%? Yeah, Ghosn wasn't getting a fair trial. He knew it. Everyone knew it. So he decided to do something nobody thought possible. December 29, 2019. Ghosn's under house arrest in his Tokyo apartment. 24-hour surveillance. Multiple cameras. Security checks. Can't see his wife. Can't use the internet except at his lawyer's office. But that day, a team arrives. Former US Green Beret, Michael Taylor, and his son Peter. The plan's been in the work for months. Ghosn slips out of his apartment, disguised, takes the bullet train to Osaka, checks into a hotel. Then comes the insane part. They have this massive black case, audio equipment box for concerts, big enough to fit a person, holes drilled in the bottom for air. Ghosn climbs inside. Taylor and his team wheel the case through the hotel, loaded onto a private jet. Now in Japan, security doesn't scan large equipment in the same way commercial flights do. The case goes through an X-ray, but nobody physically opens it. The jet takes off, flies to Turkey, lands in Istanbul. They switch planes. New jet, same box, flies to Beirut, Lebanon, Ghosn's homeland. By morning, he's free, and Lebanon has no extradition treaty with Japan. The world loses its mind. How? His lawyer, Junichiro Hironaka, tells reporters he had no idea. Complete shock. Ghosn didn't have his passports. They were all confiscated. Turns out Ghosn entered Lebanon with his French passport, but all three of his passports, Lebanese, French, Brazilian, were supposedly locked up by Japanese authorities. Someone helped. Someone got him that passport. Japan issues international arrest warrants, forfeits his $14 million bail. Interpol issues a red notice. Lebanon refuses to extradite, says Ghosn entered legally, and they don't hand over their own citizens. Michael Taylor and his son Peter was arrested in Massachusetts in 2020, extradited to Japan in 2021, sentenced to prison, 2 years for the father, 20 months for the son. They said Ghosn paid them $1.3 million. The judge didn't buy their story that it just covered expenses. But Ghosn was safe in Beirut. He held a massive press conference. "I didn't flee justice. I escaped injustice." Releases a video detailing everything on YouTube. The coup, the plot to stop the merger, names 11 Nissan executives in a lawsuit, files a $1 billion lawsuit against Nissan, and then the alliance implodes. Overnight, trust evaporates. Stock prices for Nissan and Renault crash. Of course, leadership chaos erupts. Nobody knows who's in charge. Nissan's CEO changes multiple times in 2 years. Sales start tanking hard. 2017, the peak. 10.6 million vehicles sold worldwide. Number 1. 2018, still strong at around 10.7 million. 2019, Ghosn arrested, escapes. Things start sliding. 2020 to 2022, free fall. By 2022, the alliance sells only 6.4 million vehicles, dropped to 4th place globally, behind Toyota, Volkswagen, and Hyundai. Nissan alone, disaster. Profits collapse, factories close, billions in losses. Last year, Nissan announced it's cutting 9,000 jobs, reducing global production capacity by 20%. Operating profit for the 6 months ending September 2024 down 94% compared to 2023. 94%. CEO Makoto Uchida takes a 50% pay cut to take responsibility, but it doesn't help. In December, Nissan starts merger talks with Honda and Mitsubishi. They sort of wanted to create the world's third largest automaker, about $60 billion in combined value. It's desperation. Nissan faces possible bankruptcy in 2026 when massive debt comes due. But the talks fall apart in February 2025. It's simple. Honda wants Nissan to become a subsidiary. Nissan refuses, says it would destroy their autonomy. Honda's frustrated with Nissan's slow turnaround. Despite cutting jobs and factories, Nissan's still hemorrhaging money. By March 2025, Nissan reports a staggering loss of $4.5 billion for the fiscal year, worst in recent history. New CEO Ivan Espinosa announces drastic measures, shutting 7 of 17 factories, cutting workforce by another 15%, reducing vehicle platforms from 13 to just 7. All work on new models launching after 2026 paused indefinitely. Through September 2025, the alliance remains in 4th place globally, still cooperating on some EV projects in Europe, but nothing like before. Renault reduced its stake in Nissan from 43% down to 15%. More equal now, but weaker ties. The minimum required stake dropped to 10%. The empire Ghosn built is shattered today. So was Ghosn a corporate criminal or victim of a boardroom coup? Honestly, I think both. Did he underreport future compensation? Maybe. But was it criminal? The courts couldn't even prove it against his aide Kelly. Did he use company money for personal stuff? Probably some gray area expenses, houses in Rio and Beirut that were technically for business but benefited him personally. But did you know Hiroto Saikawa, the guy who orchestrated the arrest, got caught doing literally the same thing? Excess pay he claimed he didn't know about, resigned in disgrace. The real reason for the arrest? The merger threat. Nissan executives feared losing control to the French. They panicked, used financial irregularities, real or exaggerated, as the weapon to remove him. And Japan's hostage justice system, with its 99% conviction rate, gave them the perfect tool. But the escape? Oh, we can all agree that's what killed the empire faster. Once Ghosn fled, any remaining trust between Renault and Nissan evaporated. You can't run a strategic alliance when your chairman is a fugitive wanted by Interpol. Leadership vacuum, constant CEO changes, no vision, no strong hand holding it together. Today, the alliance survives, barely. They're still cooperating on some electric vehicles. Nissan and Mitsubishi getting EVs built by Renault's Ampere division in France. New Nissan Micra launching late 2025. Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross EV coming. But it's small projects, incremental collaboration, nothing transformative. Today, Carlos Ghosn is 71 years old, stuck in Lebanon, consulting for startups via Zoom, advising unnamed car companies remotely, fighting to get the Interpol red notice lifted so he can travel again. The alliance limping along, smaller projects, no grand vision, just survival. Was it a coup? Yes. Was it a crime? Probably some of both. Was it worth it? For Ghosn personally, maybe. For the alliance and the hundreds of thousands of workers, absolutely not. The biggest car empire in the world destroyed itself from the inside, and we all got a front row seat to one of the wildest corporate collapses in modern history. What do you think? Was Ghosn a hero who saved Nissan and got betrayed? Or was he a greedy executive who deserved what happened? Drop your thoughts below, because this story isn't over yet. Nissan's 2026 debt is coming due, and nobody knows if they'll survive it. If this story got you hooked, wait until you see what's coming next. Hit subscribe so you don't miss it.